Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next-level tactics. From off-site and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Reader retention. Earning lots of traffic through quality content is a great first step, but your long-term goals should be focused on building better customer relationships and keeping them around for as long as possible. As such, reader retention should be just as high a priority as new reader acquisition. There are several ways you can measure this and gain insights that allow you to improve your approach. Followers. Any social media marketing expert will tell you that the follower and like counts of social media profiles are somewhat overblown statistics for success. Just because a user follows your brand on a social media platform doesn't mean they're actively viewing what you're posting, or that they have any meaningful connection to your brand. Chasing followers is often meaningless to your bottom line. However, measuring the growth of your followers based purely on the attractiveness of your own efforts is a good gauge of your campaign's strength. If you find your follower counts slowing or falling backward, take a good look at the content you're promoting, and whether your content's quality and engagement have taken a nosedive. Fortunately, this is an easy metric to track and follow. Subscribers. If you use an RSS feed, you can also measure the growth of your subscribers much in the same way that you measure the growth of your social media followers. Barring that, you can use your email newsletter subscribers as a gauge here. Pay careful attention to any spikes or valleys in your data. Are they coincidentally timed with any new changes to your strategy? Are there any specific subscriber tendencies that you can optimize your campaign for? Users won't subscribe unless they're truly interested in your content. Repeat traffic. Your volume of returning visitors should also suggest something about the sticking power of your content. Head to the audience section of Google Analytics to find this, and look under behavior to find the new versus returning report. Here, you'll see a breakdown of all your site users who are new to your site against who's returning for a second or subsequent visit. You can also filter this report by other factors. For example, you can isolate social or referral traffic. You'll want to be careful of the balance here. New users are good for your acquisition efforts while returning users are good for your retention efforts. Which one you choose ultimately boils down to your unique company goals. Loyalists and evangelists. You can also subjectively view your content's impact on people by observing how they behave in relation to your brand. For example, do you have any loyalists, who appear to like or share almost everything you post on social media? Do you have any brand evangelists who mention your brand often and recommend it to others? Both these types of users are indispensable for your content campaign in terms of further promotion of your material but are also good indicators that your content is making a significant impact. Likes, links, and shares. Likes, links, and shares are all important indicators for your content's effectiveness as well, for more reasons than one. These three types of engagements are quite distinct, but all of them share a commonality. They require a reader to acknowledge your content as worthy of being spread to more people, which is usually a good thing. In increasing order of value are likes, shares, and links. A like simply requires a click, while a share requires a click and an inherent endorsement, and a link is a broader endorsement of that content that persists indefinitely. Shares are especially important because they allow your content to be seen by more people, and links are especially important because they directly correlate with increased organic search visibility, which, in turn, drives more traffic to your website. If your website is on WordPress, you can use my favorite social sharing plugin, Social Warfare, to not only place social share buttons on your posts automatically but also provide you with a breakdown of share counts for each post on your website. You can monitor your likes and shares directly on their social media platforms. Take note not only of the types of content you produced but when and how you syndicated them. For links, you'll have to use a tool like Open Site Explorer, Ahrefs, or Majestic, which allows you to list all the links you have pointing back to your site. This is especially helpful for monitoring what types of content earn the most links naturally. URL Profiler is another tool that I really like for content analysis. You can use it to create a list of URLs for every page on your site and gather other metrics such as total shares for each URL, links for each, and much more. It outputs data in a spreadsheet so you can manipulate it to your heart's content. Comments and engagement. So far, most of the qualitative metrics we've looked at have dealt with either a piece's ability to attract clicks and brief interactions or a campaign's ability to retain readers. Now, let's look at how your individual content pieces are able to hold a reader's interest. These indications will tell you which of your pieces attract the most held interest, which is valuable because it leads to more invested customers, readers, and because it increases the likelihood of sharing and linking. Time spent on page. For any piece of content on your site, you can look at the time spent on page metric to determine how long the average user stays on the page. Obviously, this can't tell you whether or not these users actually read your material, but it's a pretty good indirect indication of reader engagement. For example, if you have a blog post that's 10,000 words long and your average user only spends 45 seconds on it, it might not be very informative, attention-grabbing, or engaging in the beginning. On the other hand, if your time spent on the page is several minutes, you know you have a keeper. Discussions. Discussions are another good relative gauge of your content's interactivity. You can artificially spur discussions by asking prompting questions, such as, "What do you think?" Let us know in the comments, or by deliberately choosing a debatable or controversial issue. In any case, discussions about your work in the comments section or on social media are a good metric to gauge the influence of your material on your readers. Reaction scale. This is a highly qualitative measurement since it will require you to read individual comments and interactions, then draw a conclusion about how those users feel about your content. The more intense reactions you get out of people, the more successful you can consider your content to be. For example, a phrase like, "nice post," isn't as intense as one like, "OMG, thank you for this. Exactly what I needed." Eliciting stronger reactions usually means you'll attract more discussions, gain more visibility, and affect a larger percentage of your readership. Interactive elements. You can also measure your content's interactivity by directly measuring the interactive elements within it. In fact, Google Analytics' Goals section has a complete subsection dedicated to helping you track these modules. Calculators, information comparisons, or video plays can all be tracked separately, and obviously, the more users who interact with these features, the better. Feedback. As an additional measure, it's a good idea to collect reader feedback regularly, as directly as possible. Conduct surveys among your readership and ask them what they think about your content, including your topic selection, the quality of your material, and whether they have any suggestions for future entries. Sometimes, the best way to get the information you're looking for is to ask for it directly. Special considerations. There are a handful of special situations and strategies that should be taken into account, beyond the basics of measuring a content marketing campaign's effectiveness. Ebook and whitepaper performance. For starters, you may be using ebooks or whitepapers as dedicated, long-form, landmark pieces above and beyond your typical blog and content strategy. These are frequently offered as downloadable PDFs, rather than on-site forms of content, and because they take more time and investment, you'll need to be precise when measuring how much potential value they hold. Downloads. The first metric you'll want to track is the number of downloads your piece receives. This is a straightforward measurement that can tell you how interesting your topic is to your target audience. People generally won't download a piece of content like this unless they have the intention of at least skimming it. If you notice your number of downloads decreasing from topic to topic, it could be an indication that your earlier work wasn't as powerful or as effective as your audience thought it would be. On the other hand, if your download counts rise, it's a sign of positive momentum building. Landing page visits and conversions. One of the best ways to increase the return on your content investment is to establish separate landing pages for each of your content pieces, so you can target your audience with pinpoint accuracy. For each of these separate pages, you'll need to track metrics like page visits and conversions separately. Treat each landing page as if it's a separate, mini website in its own right. You can also track statistics like time spent on page, or if you want to get fancy,
You can use heat map technology to determine exactly how your users interact with the landing page itself. Different goals. I also want to point out that your whitepapers and ebooks will likely be written with different goals in mind than your foundational content strategy. Where your typical content strategy might revolve around getting people to your website or earning more conversions, these pieces might be linked to a paid advertising campaign to generate email addresses from potential leads, or you might even be selling them to your audience directly. Be sure to reevaluate what goals you're setting, and how and why you're setting them.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show, and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.